I'll take that. Middle of November. What's the result? I'm on the chods as well. Oh, I do love a chod. I really do. Get in. Right, we're back out on the bank. A little something different this time around. Where you see me doing fishing in the weed, sort of fishing over bits and bobs. Well, I'm here at a very special little club lake in Hertfordshire. It's like quite a silty mere. So a whole different approach to what we've been doing in the past. And this time around I'm going to be fishing little wafters and mainly little chod rigs as well. Like I said, it's quite a silty area. So fishing bottom baits and solid bags and all of that, it's not going to be the one. I've managed to do the hard bit, and that is locate a fair few fish in the margins. It is very leafy, so the bottom's also going to be covered in leaf litter and not great for presentation. So them chod rigs in the right area, hopefully I can nick us a couple of fish. So this is proper exciting stuff. Being, just being in right next to the fish when they're inches from your hook bait, it gets your heart in your mouth. But yeah, there's a few down here. Now I was gonna sort of set up in this swim, but it meant me being right on top of the fish. And I don't like that. You know, yeah, you might nick one, but it'd be nice to get a couple. So I've opted to angle from a swim down. I get a lot more line on the bottom then. And I'm not going to touch my line and spook off, but yeah, it's looking good. It's looking really good. Hopefully my little white milky toffee pop-up is nice and visual. I'm sure it's presenting nicely over whatever's on the bottom down there. I'm sure there's a few leaves. I know there's silt. So yeah, man, it's looking good. Right then, now that I've got a couple of rods exactly where the fish are, I thought I'd run you through exactly what I'm feeding as well. And I'm not feeding a lot, because they're already here, and all I'm trying to do in this situation is nick a bite. Now, like I mentioned earlier on, I'm fishing over quite heavyish silt, and add to that all the leaves that are now dropping off the trees as well. It is quite difficult to present a bait. So chod fishing, you know I am fishing 100% of the time, every single cast. Now if I go in this swim and start leading around like I normally would, you know, these fish are gone, that opportunity is gone, I'm moving, it's just a nightmare. So chod fishing, I'm fishing every time and effectively as well. Now the silt, if I was to just throw in, I'm fishing boilies, just pure boilie. If I was to just throw in just freezer baits or a shelf life bait into the silt, you know, the baits that they want to sort of draw in liquid, and they're just going to draw in that stinky, horrible, smelly silt, and that bait's not going to be doing its best. So what I've done is I've rehydrated the bait. Now what with, now tiger nuts are banned on here. Okay, so I didn't want to sort of bring in tiger nuts on here, but the juice from the tiger nuts are a very, very, very good liquid. So all I've done at home, the mainline jar of tiger nuts, they come PVA friendly, so they've got no liquid in them. I did topped them up with water and just left them. Okay, I've got several jars at home that are just topped up with water and left. Now give it 6-7 weeks, that water, that is liquid gold, you know, really sweet. And all I've done, you can see it was up to about here yesterday when I've done it. It's now down to there. You know, these baits are drawing all that liquid. So when they go onto the bottom now into the silt, they're not drawing up that horrible sediment smell. I've already drawn up my nice liquid. They're super soft, but more importantly, you know, they're not going to draw up that horrible silt. All I'm fishing over the top, just 12 mil. I've got some 15s in there as well. Milky toffees. I might have a little play of a tutti frutti later on as well. But just little bright hook baits over the top, not loads of bait, 10-20 baits. Fingers crossed, something will liven up and jump on the end. Right, I've just had a little reel in. I tell you what, I'm bringing in far too many leaves. You know, there's a lot of leaf litter in the margins. It's no surprise, you know, they're all stacked up against the margin anyway, but there's a lot more on the bottom, and if I'm honest with you, I don't think I'm going to nick a bite fishing over that many leaves. I can still see fish down here now, but did notice a fish a minute ago. It weren't a monster, but where there's one, there's definitely 3 or 4 this time of the year, bosh out right on the end of the tree. So I'm thinking I might move around there. I can drop one nice and close to the tree, maybe on a little wafter. Then that gives me that nice bit of open water out here where there's fish. I'm looking at one here as well, where there's fish. So yeah, little move on the cards. Same sort of tactics, but I'm going to try a little wafter under that tree as well. Need to nick a bite. They're getting to me. Well, plan Z. I've just put my rods in what's called the hotel. Well, I see that little one show on the tree. But I've also just seen 2 separate fish bosh in an area which I know has got hardly any leaf litter, and it's a much firmer bottom. You know, I could chase my tail here, but I really think if they're there, they're catchable. You know, in a lot of areas like this is, you can see all the leaf litter now dissipating out. You know, they're there, but they're just off the bottom, just doing what they want to do. You've got little holding areas, you've got little feeding areas. I think that's going to be where our chances are going to be, and this is going to be a little frustrating one. So yeah, plan Z, let's get it done. Right, that's it, 3 rods, absolutely plumb where them fish were showing. And I know I was on fish down that bottom corner, but I was sitting there, it weren't really feeling like I was gonna get a bite, if I'm honest with you. So yeah, seeing these fish up here was a real sort of like little fresh start again. And that's the beauty of chod fishing as well, you know, you're fishing so quickly and so efficiently that you're not having to cast around at bare leads, finding spots, clipping up, round the wrap sticks, 3 or 4 spoms. You know, it's very instant fishing. Chod fishing, 3 lovely little areas. Make sure it's of a choddy bottom though. You don't want to be presenting these sort of rigs on hard areas. It's just not the one. You're much better off with like a little solid bag or little rigs we've gone through in the past. So yeah, like I said, we've got 2 on chods, little white milky toffees, and 1 on a little wafter as well. The bottom out in this area here, I know it's a bit firmer, so a little wafter as well, something different. And I'm also going to sort of sprinkle, and I say sprinkle, probably 20, 30 baits, maybe over the next course of an hour, not all at once, you know, in the throwing stick, just 10 baits or so every, I don't know, every 20 minutes. And yeah, we'll see what jumps on the end, but I'm feeling a lot more confident. The rods are out there, fingers crossed. Well, the move very quickly has paid off. The old left hand rod and the old milky toffee on the Chod Rig. Finicky old bite, you know, when you've got loads of slack line out like that, you do get literally, you just up to the top. Oh, tell you what, there's no better rush than moving, getting on them and getting your bite. What a touch. Oh, come on, girl. Very head shaky. Very head shaky. Ugh. Ugh. That was over no bait at all, you know, just a single hook bait in the right area is all it takes sometimes. We've got ourselves a nice little common. He's not a monster, but he's a confidence booster. Go on, girl. We've got one. Oh, what a result. He's only a small one, but I'll take that. Middle of November. What a result. And on the chods as well. Oh, I do love a chod. I really do. Get in. Well, here we go. That move definitely paid off and didn't take very long either. And them chod rigs, you get them on the right bottom, more importantly on the fish, they are an absolute devastating little tactic. A lot of confidence though, you've got to get quite a few elements right. I'll run through them elements in a little while. I can get this one here back, get that single hook bait back out there, because I've got a feeling there's a few more to go. Come on, girl. Now the old seagulls have gone to roost, I can finally start getting a few baits out. You know, I'm not sort of trying to bait up one sort of area like I would be if I was fishing from a spodding and things. You know, I just want to sort of just dot baits around, so as they come and sort of filter through, they're picking up one bait, erecting, go and pick another one, you know, and that way they sort of commit to the chods rather than sort of, you don't want them sort of feeding in one area because the chods that way off the bottom end up foul hooking one in the cheek, you know. But this sort of dotting around baiting just keeps them moving around. There's no disturbance either, you know. A little 10-12mm bait makes no noise as it goes in at all. Like I say, I'm just dotting them around nilly-willy, and hopefully tonight we shall nick another one. I've not seen a great deal, if I'm honest with you, since having that fish. I mentioned earlier on, you know, it's difficult on here, especially at this time of year, to sort of get a little haul going on. You know, you're better off nicking a bite moving, but I do have a little feeling that we're in the right area. So yeah, another 5 or 6, put the kettle on, I think. Well, it was a very cold and quiet night on the fish front. Not a lot stirred out there either. There wasn't much showing, so there wasn't a lot to sort of go on. Only of what I'd seen in the previous daylight hours and where I caught that fish from. But I have seen a fish this morning. One did show just to the right of the area that I'm fishing on. You know, I'm not fishing a particular spot, and that's why these chod rigs are so effective. You know, you haven't got to fish to a spot. It's just an area where the fish are. And I thought I'd run you through exactly how I set up this sort of unique little rig. You know, it's gone out of fashion a little bit, I think, the old chod rig. You know, spinner rigs and all that sort of thing have sort of taken favour to most anglers these days, but this way of fishing, it is an art, you know, and you can fish them anywhere, especially in the weed and especially in silt like we're doing today. So I thought I'd run you through it, starting off at the lead section. Now the leads, they haven't got to be big, you know. When I'm fishing normal bottom bait rigs, with spinner rigs for instance, or little IQD rigs or solid bags, I rarely use a lead anything under 3 ounces. With chods, the leads, okay, they're only there to get my chod rig out there. So down in the margins where we was fishing quite close in yesterday, I was using a little 1.1 𝘃𝗶𝗀𝗲. Today I'm fishing a little bit further out, sort of 20 yards, and I've got a little 1.5 ounce on there. So my lead is literally there just to get that chod rig to the bottom. Now, little 𝘃𝗶𝗀𝗲𝗲 on there. Again, I don't need to be losing leads in this situation. It's pretty barren out there, there's no snags. So I've got the 𝘃𝗶𝗀𝗲𝗲 set up, so the lead doesn't need to drop. And I've got about a foot and a half gap until it hits my line saver bead. Now, if I was fishing in, for instance, sort of 3-footer Canadian, which this rig's perfectly sort of presentable for, I'd have that bottom bead a lot higher up the line, sort of 2 or 3 foot up. But like I say, it's quite silty. It's only sort of 2 or 3 inches of silt and leaves and stuff. So my line saver bead hasn't got to be that far away from the lead. Now my top bead is only about a foot up the line. I don't need a lot of play between my top and bottom bead because I'm only fishing in silt. Again, if I was fishing in heavy weed, which I often do with this rig, I'd have them separated a lot more. And in between my top and bottom bead, I've rolled out 3 tiny little bits of putty, just so I can guarantee that that section of line, which is really important, is absolutely nailed to the ground. Now my chod section, I've got a little size 11 ring swivel on there with a little bit of putty just to counterbalance that pop-up. And I want that pop-up moving through the water column very, very slowly. You know, it's going to nestle down on anything, whether it be weed, silt, leaves, or whatever. Now, chod filament wise, I've got 20 pounds. Now I want to try and get away as stiff as possible. And on a size 8, which I'm using today, 20 pounds is about the maximum you can get away with. 15 goes through a lot easier, but I prefer the stiffness you get from the 20 pound, and that's what really sort of, they can't deal with that. That's what makes this chod rig so effective, you know, that stiff section of chod. They find it very, very difficult to get rid of, and coupled with a size 8 𝘃𝗶𝗀𝗲, trust me, if they mouth that, 9.5, if not more times out of 10, it's game over. They're in the back of the net. Now, length-wise for the chod, I don't use anything short than about 2 inches, and probably go maximum sort of about 3.5 inches in sort of the thickest of weed. I've probably got, I'd call that 2.25 inches to be precise. And yeah, and a little pop-up as well. I don't tend to fish, we mentioned it before, you know, I don't fish massive hook baits half the time, or most of the time to be fair. That's a little 15mm 𝘃𝗶𝗀𝗲𝐶e on a size 8. I do like 12s as well, but 12mm pop-ups, they're not the buoyantest, you know, and with this rig you want a real buoyant, efficient pop-up. It's going to be out there this time of the year, it gets dark at 4, doesn't get light till 7, so it might be out there 13, 14 hours, and it's really important that pop-up is popped up all the time, not 6 hours in and it starts to go to a side. You know, you want it buoyant as you can. And I say that coupled with a size 8 hook, you know, it lifts it up lovely. Now you can tell I've tied the pop-up on. Again, really, really important. You know, you start piercing pop-ups, putting them on bait screws, you know, you're allowing water to get into that pop-up, and that's going to knock the buoyancy out of it 4 or 5 hours into the water, which again, I don't want. So them little key things, and also fluorocarbon. You know, I won't ever fish this rig on a mono. You know, I want fluorocarbon straight through. You can tell by my line lay, I've got loads and loads and loads of line pinned to the bottom. Really, really important. Doing 2 or 3 things, you know, apart from getting perfect line lay and that chod sitting lovely on the bottom, it's also actually helping to hook the fish. Now that much fluorocarbon out there on the bottom actually becomes quite heavy, okay? And that is also what helps hook the fish. You know, they pick it up, all that line's now to the bottom, they find it very, very difficult to get rid of that chod, you know. Fishing super slack lines like we are now against heavy snags or a far margin, it's not so clever, you know. Open water fishing is the key with chod fishing. I wouldn't be fishing that much slack line up to a snag. They could easily kite 3 or 4 foot left or right, get snagged up, and I might only get a beep or 2 beeps. But you know when you've got a bite chod fishing, you know. I'm fishing super slack like I mentioned, but you get very good takes, you know. They're not screaming line off, you know. You'll notice you'll get 2 or 3 bleeps and the line will sort of gradually start picking up out the water. I'm fishing super tight clutches, you know, that bobbin will only just go to the top or halfway up and I'm on it and I'm in. So yeah, like I say, real key elements to it: slack lines, super sharp hooks, little light leads. Chod rigs are deadly. Get your head round them, get confident with them, because trust me, they catch them big uns as well, and they really do catch the wary old fish that you don't always catch or hook on the bottom. Well, the rods are still out there, they're doing their thing. It's not looking overly amazing this morning. You know, yesterday we were seeing quite a few fish under the surface, and obviously they started showing over here as well. We jumped on them and nicked that bite. That was sort of mid-afternoon. It's getting on late morning now, so there's still a good chance, you know, they could rock up or just jump on the end. You know, chod fishing, you know, it's not as proactive as what you'd normally be doing when I'm spotting out, getting them going in that way, but it is a fun way of fishing. You know, you're fishing very efficiently, very quickly, but sometimes you just got to sit on your hands and wait for that opportunity. So yeah, like I say, we've got a couple of hours left. Who knows what's going to happen. I've had fun, but I'm sure you'll be catching me somewhere else soon doing something completely different. So there's loads to cover, and I'll catch you then.